Lisa.
Tara.
Lori.
Debbie.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. I would like to start this speech out by asking you all a few simple questions. How many of you all own your own suit, or a pair of trousers and a blazer? How many of you wear black often, not just for mourning? How many of you own a perfume that doesn't necessarily smell like flowers? There's one woman that we can all thank for all of these. Fashion is not something that exists in dress only. Fashion is in the sky, in the street. Fashion has to do with ideas, the way we live, what is happening. This quote is by Coco Chanel, an iconic designer that has forever changed the fashion industry. This French designer, born in Saumur, had a very difficult upbringing. After being raised in orphanages and being taught to sew, she opened her first clothing shop in 1910. Chanel has given the world trousers for women, jersey fabric for women's wear, branded perfume, costume jewelry, and much more. With her unique outlook on life and variety of timeless designs, Chanel has left her legacy on the fashion world. I have always had a love for fashion and design, but studying retailing in college has given me a different perspective. The courses and professors at my university have taught me about different fabrics, different designers, and the true definition of what fashion really is. They have also given me the ability to see how fashion affects the world and how different designers and influencers have changed the fashion industry. Today, I would like to talk to you about Coco Chanel and 3 ways she has impacted the fashion industry. With the creation of her iconic little black dress, Chanel No. 5 fragrance, and the iconic Chanel suit, Coco Chanel is one of the most influential women that the fashion world has ever seen. I'm going to start off by talking about Chanel's creation of the little black dress. In the early 1900s, Chanel shocked the fashion industry by creating such a standard piece of clothing for women. Chanel's little black dress is now seen as a staple piece found in every women's closet. In a book titled Chanel and Her World, the author states that Chanel shifted the fashion industry into a state of standardization and that has proven to be irreversible. The creation of her little black dress was seen as a uniform for women of taste. Chanel is known for changing the way people, especially men, perceive women's fashion. After her sketch of a simple black dress was published in Vogue, people realized that men could no longer dictate how women should dress. The female sex was now merely identifying with the simplifying taste of Chanel. The creation of Chanel's little black dress affected the way people perceived the color black. According to V Magazine and Wonderland Magazine, before Chanel, black was reserved for funerals and seen as a color associated with mourning. Chanel challenged the norm and introduced the color black as a chic option for fashion that didn't necessarily need to be associated with sadness. During the same time Chanel created the little black dress, she also launched her first perfume. Although known for her fashion and apparel innovations, Coco Chanel's Chanel No. 5 is a fragrance that is truly iconic. Chanel may not have been the first designer to create her own scent, but she was the first to brand it. An article in V Magazine states that designer Paul Poirier was the first to release a fragrance, but missed the mark when he decided not to put his name on it. He named his fragrance after exotic and unique ingredients that were used to make his fragrances. This article also states that Chanel's goal was to create a women's perfume with a women's scent. In a book titled Chanel's Key Collections, it states that Chanel changed the way people thought about and created perfume by straying away from the flowery scents of her time. If it weren't for Chanel, we may not have some of the iconic fragrances and scents that are seen around the world. Chanel paved the way for future designers. In an article found in Wonderland Magazine, the writer states that the creation of Chanel's famous Chanel No. 5 allowed her to expand into a whole new market. Chanel No. 5 is now one of the most iconic scents, and Chanel was able to influence major fashion labels to create their own scents. Chanel paved the way for other apparel designers to expand into another successful market. Aside from her creation of the little black dress and Chanel No. 5 fragrance, Chanel is most widely known for her iconic Chanel suit. Seen everywhere in the fashion world today, Coco Chanel is the one we can thank for women's suits. Chanel was one of the first designers that was influenced by menswear. According to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Chanel created the now legendary Chanel suit in the early 1900s. With an increase of women in the labor force during World War I, women's wear needed to be more practical. While the women's husbands were in war, the women needed to fill their place and continue working. After the war, most women didn't want to reverse back to the days before the war and continue to be housewives. Chanel's encouragement and creation of the Chanel suit gave the women hope and goals. V Magazine states that Chanel created collarless jackets and well-fitted skirts that borrowed elements of menswear. She wanted to emphasize comfort while still maintaining the fashionable aspect. This was a shock to many because Chanel was choosing comfort over then popular corsets and other confining pieces. Chanel's suits contained wool jackets and embellished buttons with a slim skirt. Post-war women flocked to these suits because they were hopeful in building a career in the male-dominated workplace. From her staple black dress, well-known fragrance, and iconic suit, Coco Chanel has influenced the fashion industry in a number of ways. Coco Chanel left her legacy in the world as one that will be remembered and honored forever. She was able to change the way people think and feel about fashion through her outlook on life and timeless designs. From changing the world's opinion on the meaning of the color black, changing the scent that women choose, and adopting styles from menswear, Chanel has had a successful career and influence on the world of fashion. Almost 50 years after her death in 1971, Chanel continues to be at the top of the fashion industry. Her legacy continues to influence the industry and inspire dozens of major fashion designers. One of her most well-known quotes is, "In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different." Chanel is one of the most influential fashion designers of all time and truly is irreplaceable because of how she was able to step out and be different and create a difference in the way people perceive women's fashion. Thank you.